As a hobby, I fix broken or old gaming systems and make a few dollars. I have a decent collection that I love. All of them work, but they're delicate. The controllers for my Intellivision, for example, are very touchy, so I mostly play on emulators for the older games. My brother has a stepson that he's planning to adopt. I decided to do something nice and gave him a refurbished PS5 for this year's birthday. I took a long time cleaning one up and stress testing it to ensure it worked. I did a great job, if I do say so myself. I love that I'm going to be an aunt. My brother, his wife, and the children were over visiting. We played Mario Kart on my Switch, and I kicked butt. My big brother whined that I only beat him because it's a fancy new system, and he could destroy me on N64. Challenge accepted. I have a translucent orange N64 console, one of my pride and joys. I brought it down off the shelf, found the cartridge, blah blah blah, and crushed my stinking brother the same way he used to beat me. My nephew wanted to try, so I allowed it. I told him that he needed to be careful because it was an old system and kind of delicate. I didn't even try hard, pick Yoshi or use any shortcuts. I still whooped the kid. He was so angry that he picked up the console and smashed it on the table. It didn't fly apart or anything, but it stopped working, and there was a crack in the casing. I was angry. I kicked everyone out of my game room and told my brother I would charge him whatever it cost to fix that console. He said it was old and not worth much and he would replace it for $30 from eBay. I said sure, but it had to be the same color. He looked for them and only found them for about $250. He said that was ridiculous for an ancient console and he wouldn't replace it. I was upset, but I said fine. I sold the PS5 and used the money to fix up my old console. It's not perfect, but it works great. I gave my nephew a $50 gift certificate for Nintendo for his birthday. I checked with my brother in advance about his first gift to make sure he and his wife were okay with it, so he was expecting the PS5. My brother, not my nephew. My nephew thanked me for the $50 and apologized for getting upset and breaking my N64. Now my brother's angry because he had purchased a couple of PS5 games to give the kid for his birthday, so he'll have to get one since the only one I have now is mine. He said I was an idiot to sell a gift. I said he needs to be responsible for the actions of his children. Our parents say we're both being petty. Your parents are wrong. Petty but justified would have been not gifting your nephew anything at all. I'm glad your nephew thanked you and apologized, but keep him away from your stuff until he can be trusted to react better to losing. Not the idiot. Your brother's the a-hole here, and he's a bad influence on his stepson. This is not petty. You accidentally spelled consequences wrong. Somehow, I think the brother was looking forward to the PS5 more than the nephew and is more upset about not being able to play his own games and then having to return the ones he bought for the nephew. The brother's reaction was awful. If your kid accidentally breaks something, maybe that's a different story. Still, if he downright smashes it, he should have decided himself the kid wasn't getting a PS5 from his aunt. He's clearly not responsible enough to own one. Exactly. It sounds like someone bought a bunch of games for themselves and is unhappy they can't play them. Having anger to the point of smashing a console is entirely unacceptable. Your brother and his wife must be responsible for the kid's behavior. Also, big fan of Mario Kart 64. I know those vintage consoles don't come cheap. My girlfriend, 26, recently celebrated her birthday, and I, 28 male, wanted to make it special. I spent a lot of time thinking about what to get her and decided on a personalized photo album with pictures of our time together over the last few years. I also wrote her a heartfelt letter expressing my love for her and detailing how much she means to me. When it came time for her to open the gift, she did so in front of our friends and family at her party. I could tell she was underwhelmed, and she even made a face. Then she said, "Wow, this is it? You're such a cheapskate," in front of everyone. I was stunned and embarrassed. People laughed awkwardly, and I could see she was expecting something more expensive. Her reaction hurt me, especially since I put so much thought and effort into the gift. After a few minutes, I quietly excused myself and left the party. I didn't want to cause a scene, but I couldn't shake the feeling of humiliation. My girlfriend later called me and said I overreacted by leaving the party and that it was all in good fun. She also accused me of not putting in any effort since the gift wasn't expensive. I told her I felt disrespected and that my feelings were hurt. Now I'm questioning whether I was wrong to leave the party. Am I the idiot for walking out of my girlfriend's party after she called me a cheapskate for the gift I gave her? Not the idiot. OP, you need to value yourself more and stop taking the blame for your girlfriend's crappy behavior. You deserve much better than her. Even if she hated the gift, which was so thoughtful by the way, she should have kept her trap shut. It's evident to anyone all she cares about is money, not you. I wonder how much she'll hate the gift when she's single. Nah, she'll toss it in the garage and tell everyone that he was not a real man. She humiliated and publicly scolded you in front of her guests. Afterward, she continued to disrespect your feelings by guilt-tripping, shaming, and gaslighting you. Ask yourself, is this what you're willing to accept from someone who's supposed to appreciate, respect, and cherish you? Yeah, and dare I say, you dodged a bullet here. Giving a thoughtful gift shows the time and care you put into considering her interest and personal history with you. To be diminished because it wasn't high value in monetary terms screams volumes about where her values lie. The question isn't about the gift anymore. It's about whether she values material things over the sentiment and love you offer. A partner undermining your efforts on such a public stage isn't showing you much respect or gratitude. Remember, a gift's cost does not equal your love for someone. Every once in a while, I do something to anger my wife. Rather than communicating with me about her issue, she ignores me for a few days. If she's really angry, she locks me out of our bedroom. Then when everything is back to normal, she says that what I did wasn't actually my fault, or that it wasn't as bad as she thought. For example, one of her coffee mugs got broken. Instead of asking me what happened, I got the treatment. It turned out that she had a friend over, and the friend's kid broke the mug. Anyway, I'm kind of over it, and while I love my wife and have no intention of leaving her, I also see no reason to humor her. Last Thursday I got home, and she had locked me out of the bedroom. She wouldn't answer when I knocked, texted, or called. Like I said, I'm over it. I called a couple of friends and planned to spend the weekend golfing at a resort. Lots of fresh air, beer, and a comfortable bed. I ignored her texts and calls all weekend. I did leave her a voicemail letting her know what was up, so she wouldn't worry. I had a great weekend with my boys. When I got home, she was out of the bedroom and ready for a fight. So was I. She asked me what was I thinking, leaving town without clearing it with her first. I asked her if she planned to ignore me all weekend and make me sleep in the guest room. She said it was my punishment for forgetting to take out the trash in time, and now the garage would stink for a week because I was thoughtless. I laughed in her face. I took her to the calendar and asked her to point to the date I missed taking out the trash. She looked at the calendar but would not point it out because it was her turn. She said that was no excuse for me to blow a bunch of money on a weekend away. I asked her why should I sleep in the guest room and not with my wife when the thing that upset her was her own mess up. She said that she made a mistake and that I should have pointed that out instead of leaving. I was over this conversation. I asked her how I was supposed to know why she was upset since she wouldn't communicate with me. I walked away, but I told her that if I ever messed up badly enough that she wanted to sleep alone again, she had better be very darn clear about what I did and why it upset her. If she chose not to tell me and just locked me out again, I would consider the next few days to be free time to spend with my friends. She called me controlling and said I was punishing her for a misunderstanding. I agreed. She misunderstood that it was her turn to do that chore. She also misunderstood my commitment to sleeping in a comfortable bed. and she was very much mistaken if she thought I would put up with it ever again. She's angry, but not enough to lock me out. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but you married a child. Your wife sounds incredibly petty and immature. Honestly, I'm not sure I could stand being with someone who behaved that way regularly. Your wife never learned to handle disappointments or the mistakes of others in a rational, reasonable way. I would think long and hard before deciding to have children with her, unless she considered therapy to work through her coping mechanisms. Can you imagine his wife giving her future children this freeze-out punishment? That would really be some grade A parenting. Hi, Daddy. Mommy's giving me the silent treatment today. What did you do? I don't know. Don't have children with her for the sake of the non-existent children. The first time she punished you, you should have left. Is this how you plan to spend your life? Geez, OP, you are exceedingly naive for insisting on staying in this relationship with that immature, petulant child. She's pathologically incapable of admitting fault. This means you're in for a lifetime of a dozen more lockouts, yelling, and hearing that it's your fault for not alerting her to her mistakes. When she sees that she can no longer control you and make you grovel by locking you out, she'll start her victim act to friends and family, acting upset about your abuse. You will never know happiness or respect again. You need to have confidence to address this with her. She should not be doing this. So I, 25 male, am engaged to my fiancé, Aaron, also 25 female. Since we started actively planning our wedding, Aaron's family, but mostly her parents, have developed an obsession with stating how tragic, sad, and unfortunate, etc. it is that I won't have my real family there, and that there will be no blood relatives of mine present for the wedding or our life together. Aaron has told them my real family consists of my dads and my siblings, but they wave it off like it's BS. Aaron has told them the topic is to be closed, and we've left on a couple of occasions because they brought it up since. But this last time, I decided to be open. It was a dinner where Aaron's immediate family and some family friends were present. Aaron's parents brought it up again, how tragic it is. So I decided to divulge my feelings and my experience with adoption and my parents. Background: I was removed from my biological parents at the age of 5 and placed in foster care. I had a very unstable 2 years before I met my dad and my pa. I was 7 when I moved in with them, 9 when I became eligible for adoption, and that same year, I welcomed the first of my 2 siblings. I was so lucky to find my parents and end up with the family that I have. I remember clearly some of the bad with my biological family, and I don't miss that. So I told my future in-laws that I didn't find it tragic at all. People who can make a 5-year-old feel so unloved that they never see a future where someone could care for them. You can be surrounded by those who share your DNA and never experience kindness or love. I told them that I could not imagine having any of those people in my life today, and I couldn't imagine thinking DNA means more than love. I told them I was miserable being with those people and wished every day for someone to love me. I said I didn't know love until I was 7 and met my parents, and more specifically my dad, who embodies love and is hands down the most loving, caring, compassionate, and thoughtful person I've ever met. He's my shining example of someone who loves and has such a deep capacity to love. I told them my true parents were the dad and pa who took in a kid who was so depressed and scared and dragged down that he didn't eat like an average person, was afraid to sleep, and would often cry when sleep did overtake him. I told them that my real parents were the people who walked me to school every morning, who sat and helped me catch up with school and homework because I was so far behind that I should have been back in kindergarten. I told them my real family are the parents and siblings who know I don't share their DNA, but love me anyway, and have been there for me through every single step of my life since I was 7, and who made me a forever part of their family through adoption. My future in-laws were silent after that, but they told me I humiliated them and made them uncomfortable in their own home, and I shouldn't have spoken like that. Aaron told them they should learn when to quit and apologize to me. Am I the idiot? Definitely not the idiot, and it's good for Aaron to fully back you up. You say a dad and a pa, so I assume you have two dads. I'm wondering if this is more their issue than blood, to be honest, which is really sad. Regardless, you put them in their place. You did nothing wrong. There will always be people who consider blood more critical, but I always wonder why they're married themselves. That means they love someone, not their blood, and choose to live with them for the rest of their lives. If it really is more about the adoption, then good. Good luck. I hope what you said sinks in. I'm glad Aaron fully supports you. I'm 42 female, lost my mom in March. My husband, 43, and I have two young boys, kindergarten and toddler. I was very close to my mom, and the loss has been extremely difficult for me. I spent the week before the funeral with my family, choosing flowers, going through old photos, and having the kids draw pictures to display at the viewing. My family's close, and I found much comfort in spending time with them. The funeral was a one-day service on a Saturday with a 9 a.m. to noon visitation and a luncheon immediately after. My best friend was scheduled to babysit my children, but on Friday, she texted that she had the flu. So I asked my in-laws to watch the kids instead. Fast forward to Friday evening, when one of my husband's three brothers volunteered to babysit instead, so my in-laws could attend the funeral. On Saturday, my husband and I went to the funeral at 9 o'clock. Family and friends came to pay their respects throughout the morning. At 11:15, my husband's immediate family still had not come to the funeral. Strange, but eventually, my mother-in-law and father-in-law arrived for the final portion of the service. Once the service was over, my husband and I went to pick up our kids for the luncheon. My mother-in-law said that they would meet us at lunch. The lunch was jovial and very nice, but my in-laws never showed up, despite my husband calling and texting them. I found out later that they decided to forego the funeral lunch and instead took my husband's brother and fiancé to lunch as an appreciation for watching my kids. I was very hurt that my husband's parents, his grown siblings, and their fiancés did not attend the service or lunch. I told my husband and he agreed, so we decided to give ourselves some space and spend Easter away from his family. It's been 2 weeks now, and I've not spoken to them. My mother-in-law texted my husband to apologize, but she didn't apologize to me. Am I the idiot for wanting to distance my family from my in-laws, for not attending all of my mom's funeral? Don't displace your grief into anger. They attended the service. Lunches are more appropriate for close friends and family of the deceased to share stories, etc. You should step back here before you make unrepairable rifts. Therapy, activities, and other whatever else you need to heal. I'm sorry, but you are the idiot. Agreed. It would never occur to me to attend my brother-in-law's parents' funerals. I have no relationship with their parents. I'd babysit my nibblings, sure, but not go to the funeral. You have unrealistic expectations. I'm sorry for your loss. There should be no expectation for them to attend the funeral. Also, they did attend the funeral. And are you still upset? Not the idiot. I'm so very sorry for the loss of your beloved mother. Whoa, I can't even wrap my head around any of the "you are the idiot" comments on here. I've been to many funerals of my friends' parents. I went to support my friends. I didn't know their parents well, but I absolutely still went. Same with any family or family in-laws and coworkers too. I went to support the living as they grieved their losses. You have every right to be upset. Your husband probably should have told them what to expect and what he expected them to do. Some people don't have funeral etiquette, I think.